Hey people, I welcome you back to Caroline's Online Academy. In this series of videos, we are learning how to solve the cash flow statement 6 mark problem questions asked in CBSE examinations. In the previous videos, I introduced you to the various working notes that have to be prepared, and I also taught you how to prepare and when to prepare the working note for provision for tax and tax paid. And in this particular video, we're going to be learning how to prepare and when to prepare the working note for purchase, sale, and depreciation of fixed assets. Basically, all the information that is required with respect to fixed assets for preparing the cash flow statement. What working notes to prepare to get that information is what we'll be learning. As I told you earlier, we are actually preparing this working note depending based on the information given in the question and the information that are required in order to arrive at the information that are required to prepare the cash flow statement for the 6 mark question. Now, based on the information given in the question, with respect to fixed assets, the question can actually be divided into three types. Two types. Sorry, two types with accumulated depreciation. Accumulated depreciation is also called as provision for depreciation. Without accumulated depreciation. Actually, there are two ways of accounting for depreciation. There are many methods to calculate depreciation. There are two methods to account for depreciation. One is using the accumulated depreciation account, or which is also called as provision for depreciation account. The other is without using the accumulated depreciation account, which we would have learned in 11th standard. Even if you've forgotten that, it's all right. I'm going to teach you how to do this. Now, again, this can be further divided into we are actually now dividing the questions, okay, based on the information given. This can be further divided into no other additional information given. No other additional information with respect to fixed assets have been given. Additional information with respect to fixed assets given. And what I mean by additional information is below the question, below the balance sheet and the question, they might have given information like the depreciation charge or the assets purchased during the year or the assets sold during the year. If they're given that information, we'll consider that as additional information given. Questions in which additional information are given. If no other additional information is given, then we'll consider that as questions in which additional information are not given. Depending on whether additional information is given or not, the working note that we prepare will change. That is the reason I'm telling you this. So under without accumulated depreciation type questions, no other additional info given. Additional info with respect to fixed asset given in the question. Information given in the question. You do not get get scared or confused about this. When we are doing the 6 mark question, I will actually relate to what I'm telling you here. As far as now, you can just consider that the questions might have additional information with respect to fixed assets or might not have additional information with respect to fixed asset. And depending on if there is additional information or not, the way we prepare the working note will change. In both these cases, if no additional information is given, no need to prepare working note. We can directly compute the required information from the information given in the balance sheet itself. You don't have to prepare any additional ledgers. But if it's a question with accumulated depreciation and additional information is given, then you'll have to prepare one fixed asset account. That is, if it is machinery, then machinery account. If it is building or then building account. And accumulated depreciation account. Accumulated depreciation account is also known as the provision for depreciation account. Depending on how it is named, that account you got to prepare in the question. When we are doing the questions without accumulated depreciation, if no additional information is given, you need not prepare any working note. We can directly compute the required numbers directly from the question itself. But if some additional information like depreciation charge, assets purchased, or assets sold is given, then we'll have to prepare the working note. The working note that we need to prepare is the fixed asset account. Fixed asset means whatever account. Like if it is machinery, then machinery account. If it's building, then building account, likewise. So that's it, my dear children. When there is no accumulated depreciation account, obviously we won't prepare the accumulated depreciation account. Now, this is how we divide the questions and see if we actually have to prepare the working note for fixed assets or not. Now that we have understood this, let me tell you how to prepare the working note. What working notes do we have to prepare? Now, if it is question of this type where the question has accumulated depreciation and some additional information with respect to sale, purchase, and all is given, then we will actually have to prepare two ledger accounts. One is the fixed asset account. The other is the accumulated depreciation account. As I already told you, accumulated depreciation is also known as provision for depreciation account. All right, my dear children. Now, if I gave you the entire working note directly and then made you look at it, then it might look a little intimidating. But it's actually very simple on how to prepare this. Just stay with me. I'll walk you through the process of how to do this. In the question, you will find the opening balance and closing balance of these ledgers. Fixed asset is an asset account, and therefore, I've written fixed asset here. You have to write the name of whatever ledger you have to prepare. Like if the company has machinery, you'll write machinery account here. The company has building, and you write building account here. Likewise, understood or not, my dear children? So as I told you, you will find the opening balance, and as asset is a fixed asset is an asset account, the opening balance will be written on the debit side, and therefore the closing balance will be written on the credit side. Now, where to find the opening balance from? You'll find it in the balance sheet. While I'm solving the 6-mark question in the upcoming videos, you'll find where I found the working balances, opening balance and closing balance from. And likewise, in accumulated depreciation, we'll have opening balance as it is a liability account. We'll have opening balance on the liability side, credit side, and the closing balance on the debit side. Understood? So this is the first thing that we have to do. Write the opening balance and closing balance of fixed asset account and accumulated depreciation account. Okay, so that we have done. So now that we have done that, the next thing to do would be the accumulated depreciation on the sold asset would be given in the question. It will be given as additional information in the question, or it will be given in an indirect manner, which will be easy to compute. And I'll tell you how to do that or where to find this information when we are solving the 6-mark question. The accumulated depreciation on the sold asset. If some asset had been sold, and whatever depreciation has got accumulated in the name of that sold asset has to be removed from the accumulated depreciation account and it should be placed in the fixed asset account. Understood or not, my dear children? Accumulated depreciation is a liability account. So if you're reducing that, it will be debited. So you write to fixed asset account. I'm writing fixed asset. You'll write whatever the name of the asset is according to the question. And you'll place it in the credit side of the fixed asset account by accumulated depreciation account. This is the second thing I want you to be doing while preparing your working note. Accumulated depreciation on the asset sold. Okay, good. So now that we have done that, the next thing that we have to do, the third thing that we need to do is sell the asset. When you sell the asset, we'll get money in the bank and fixed asset account will be credited because asset goes out of the business. So the journal entry is bank account debit to fixed asset account. So you will write the sale value of the asset on the credit side of the fixed asset account as by bank. Sale value of the asset. This is the third thing I want you to do. Okay. After you write the sale value of the asset on the fixed asset, you might have profit or loss on the sale. If there is profit on the sale, you'll write it on the debit side to P&L account. If there is profit on sale of asset in case of profits. If there is loss, you will write by P&L account. It's needless to say that only one of these two things will form part of the ledger in case of loss. This is the fourth thing I want you to do. Now that we have filled in all the information, what we got to do next is balance the ledgers and find the required information, the information required for us to do the cash flow statement question. So in order to balance, and you balance this ledger, you will mostly find the balancing figure on the credit side, which will be the depreciation charged during the year. Depreciation account. Depreciation charged during the year. This is one of the information that we require to do a cash flow statement, prepare the cash flow statement. And when you balance the fixed asset account, you will have most probably have the balancing figure on the debit side, and that will be the asset purchased during the year. You write to bank asset purchased during the year. Understood or not, my dear children? So this will be the last thing that you will do, balancing both the ledgers and finding the information that is required. So if you see, the first thing that we do is, my dear children, write the opening balances and closing balances. After that, we find the accumulated depreciation on the asset sold, which is usually given in the question. We find that number and write it on the debit side of the accumulated depreciation account and credit side of the fixed asset account. Then we'll sell the asset. When we sell the asset, there will be you'll receive money in the bank, and therefore you write buy bank account on the credit side of the fixed asset account with the sale value of the asset. And then when you sell the asset, there will either be profit or loss. The profit will be written on the debit side, and loss will be written on the credit side. Only one of these two things will come. After which you've been entered all the information that are supposed to be recorded in the ledger, and after which you will just balance the ledgers to find out the depreciation charged from the accumulated depreciation account and the asset purchased during the year from the fixed asset account. Now, this is for questions in which you have to prepare working notes where additional information is given with accumulated depreciation. Now, if it is a question of the type, the last type, I actually made 4 types here, and the last type was without accumulated depreciation and additional information is given, then that will come under that will come under the 4th type, and you have to prepare only one ledger account. So it's a lot more simpler that way, and that will be the fixed asset account. Fixed asset account. In fixed asset account, the first thing to do always will be to write the opening and closing balances. To balance brought down, by balance carried down. And as there is no accumulated depreciation, the next thing to do would be to sell the asset and receive the money. When you sell the asset, the sale value of the asset will be written on the credit side. Sale value of the asset. Now, this is relevant only when some asset has been sold. First thing to do. Second thing to do. After you sell the asset, there will be profit or loss. If it's profit, you write it on the debit side. You have by P&L account. In case of profits. And if it is loss, you write it on the credit side by P&L account. In case of loss. Yes. All right, good. So once you've recorded the profit or loss, you'll have to look what information is given. The question might have given you information with respect to the depreciation charge, or it might have given you information with respect to the asset purchase. The question has given you asset purchase, you write that here to bank account. This will be the third thing to do. To bank account and fill in that figure here. This will be the asset purchase. If the question has given you information with respect to depreciation charge, then you write that in the credit side of the asset account by depreciation account. Depreciation charged. Please excuse my handwriting. So one of these two things would have been given in the question. So you fill that thing that is given. If bank account is given, then depreciation charge will be the balancing figure. If depreciation charge is given, bank account will be the balancing figure, my dear student. And that is how you find the total assets purchase, depreciation charge, and the sale value of the asset for preparing the cash flow statement. The information, those are the information that are required for preparing the cash flow statement. And this is how we find that information. With this, we have come to the end of this video, my dear children. In the next video, I'll teach you how to prepare the other working note that is required. The other working note being net profit before tax and extraordinary items. I will teach you that elaborately, after which we'll be able to directly start solving questions from the previous year examinations. Until then, people take care, have fun, and please do subscribe, share, comment, and whatever. Thank you so much. Bye bye.